I am most definitely just like anyone else. There's just something a little different, and it's an illness. When I did receive my diagnosis, I've always been responsible about taking my medications and seeing my doctor and seeing my therapist because, although, I can't do anything about having a mental illness, there's a lot I can do to take care of myself and to live the best that I can.
I haven't been hospitalized since 1988, so I've been out of the hospital for 22 years. I know what I need to do to take care of myself because I'm not cured of my mental illness. It's maintained and I'm in recovery, and I still have good days and bad days. Sometimes I just assume that people understand mental illness, but then I start to talk to people. I think a lot of people really don't understand it.
My life was good up until around the time I got sick. So I didn't know what I was going through. I was hearing voices. I wasn't sure whether they were real, whether they were fake. And I kept going back and forth, kept blaming people for my voices. I feel like I fully recovered. And I feel like I could be in a community now. Like, it's not like back in the day where I would have to be in an institution my whole life, even after I recovered. Like, I'm a new guy, I'm normal now.
People with mental illness recover. Previously, the attitude was we were going to somehow control people. We would control the illness and control the person. Mental illness is a chronic disease, like any other chronic disease, and it can be treated and managed, and people with mental illness can achieve, succeed, be productive.
People with mental illness want what everyone else wants in society, that they want to have a job, they want to have a home, they want to maybe go to church, be involved in their community, have a family.
Although I didn't always have a diagnosis, I've always had a mental illness. But there was a point in my life where I was very successful, where I achieved 3 academic degrees and a number of awards, academic awards. I've worked in professional settings, and unfortunately a tragedy hit my family, and my husband became very sick with cancer. And when he died in my arms, and it truly devastated me and took away the, whatever strength I had left in me. And I ended up spending 3 years in bed and became very ill. And so I ended up living in and out of shelters, and mostly in my car, because the shelter life is not an easy life. And at the time I had a car, so I preferred to live in there. My trunk was my closet. Living in my car, I was living in shadows and hiding in the nighttime. One of the reasons why supportive housing is such a blessing, if it was not for supportive housing, I would still be homeless.
Supportive housing provides stable, permanent housing for an individual with mental illness, which is supplemented by voluntary services and supports. And that has been shown to just be a remarkable success. It reduces the use of emergency rooms and hospitalization. It increases the income and engagement of people who are tenants with education and employment, but equally critical are support services such as therapy and other types of talk therapy and other types of supports that build the person's self-esteem, help them also have faith in themselves and be able to recover.
I like going to work. I enjoy doing something that I feel is worthwhile.
Like supporting me, staying, keeping myself out of trouble, getting a job, getting an apartment, paying for rent, all that. If it wasn't for them, I would have ended up in jail or in hospital or death.
I had a lot of support. I had a lot of people telling me like the reality, like you're just hearing voices, they're not real. And I needed that at that time. I needed people to tell me I'm not hearing voices. Like,
when I went to Capital Region and Advocacy Unlimited, I got like a support system, very comfortable with the people that's there, I feel like family to me, even though I'm just a client,
So one of the most fundamental treatments for people with serious mental illness is medication. Finding the right combination for many people with mental illness has been what has enabled them to live independently in the community, to work, to really succeed.
I'm taking my medication, actually feeling better than ever at this time of my life right now, you know?
There were some that were just a disaster, and the way that I knew that they were a disaster was because I would be so disturbed in my head and so tormented, and it didn't work. And I know it works now because I feel the most normal that I've felt ever, probably.
And if I don't have my antidepressants and I have to stop taking them for a number of days, that's it. I can't stop crying, I can't eat, I can't sleep, and I can't sit still. And the crying is not just tears streaming down, it's a deep, deep, soulful cry for help. And I don't think, because we have measures to prevent some of these symptoms or deal with some of these symptoms, I think it is cruel not to be allowed that medication because of some rule made by someone.
If we can keep people stable longer, then they're going to be healthier. They're going to be healthier from a mental health point of view, but also from a physical health point of view. So I think in the long run, it saves individually, but it also saves the state of Connecticut as well, resources. And so it's the old adage that you pay a little to have a program that ultimately saves a lot, or you don't pay any and then ultimately paying a lot because you have a system that's broken down and actually harms people as a result.
At one point, she was psychotic, and this was at 7 or 8. I mean, can you imagine a child at 7 or 8 is supposed to be joyful? They're supposed to be free, not sweat what people think of them. I mean, and here was a girl who was worried that there were foxes under her bed who were going to chew her at night.
Young people with mental illness, they experience disability in the prime of their life, when most people are normally most productive. So half of all lifetime cases of mental illness occur by age 14 and 3/4 by age 24.
There's no question, as with any illness, early intervention makes a tremendous difference in the success of treatment. One of the things that Connecticut has started to do is to find ways, both in school systems, educating more of the doctors, and even people at child care centers, to start to identify potential symptoms and provide interventions.
Economically, when my daughter was institutionalized, it was about $100,000 to $125,000 a year. She was there for 2 years. So we're talking about $250,000 to $280,000 for 2 years of intensive mental health treatment, much of which our state paid for. When Emmy was doing better, she was home, and when she was home for 3 years, we had in-home services, which are the ones that are evidence-based. And the total for 2 years of that was about $25,000. So the difference really between having someone in an acute care setting, not fully evidence-based, away from their families, is enormous. And we're responsible as a state to pay for much of that.
The stigma attached to it is very, very high. I would say that I have begun to prefer to use the word discrimination. That I think that stigma is one way of thinking about it, but really from where I sit, we've really gotten to a point where this is the last sort of group of individuals that are discriminated against.
Emily does feel people treat her differently. The school she goes to is right down the street, and so she talks about how people talk about those kids, you know, because she lives in the same town, and she feels hesitant sometimes to go to the same Starbucks that's right in our town with those kids, because she may be discriminated against, she may be judged as being part of them.
I want to be one of the people that lets people know that we're not you know, as different as people may think. You know, that there's a lot to us than just an illness, that we have interests and passions, and we're intelligent and creative, and there's a lot about us that is worthwhile.
Keep the Promise is a coalition that was formed in 1999 with the simple purpose of trying to get the state to keep its promise to invest in a comprehensive community mental health system for children and adults with mental illness. The initial promise was made when 2 state hospitals were closed, large state hospitals in Norwich and Fairfield Hills, and at that time the state assured taxpayers and people in recovery and their families that they would develop a comprehensive community-based system for people to live successfully in the community. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and what happened was somewhere in the neighborhood of $15 million that was saved from closing the hospitals went to the general fund. The state did develop some community programs, but not nearly enough to keep pace with the demand for services.
And now we're in a fiscal crisis, but you know, we're closing a hospital. We're very close to having closed that hospital, and we have invested probably the most resources in the community since I've worked for the department, which is about 10 years. Is it all the money that will be saved from closing the hospital? No. Some of that money is not going to go right back into services. So I don't think that it's a dollar for dollar match all the time, and I don't think in this fiscal environment we should expect that.
Keep the Promise is not necessarily about more money. It's about spending money smarter. It's about investing in recovery and not crisis.
I believe that this is a very nonpartisan idea. Even in this very difficult budget year, a case was made that for people who are chronic users of the system, that are in and out of these emergency rooms, that are in and out of overnight care, that we really need to stabilize them. We've seen studies that show if you can keep these folks stable, that it reduces healthcare costs, it reduces criminal justice costs, it reduces a lot of the sort of ancillary costs that drive up the system that we typically don't think about.
My hope is that you'll watch this video, you'll understand mental illness more, and that you'll help educate other people about mental illness and help to reduce stigma and change policies that aren't cost effective and that really isolate people who have these conditions.
A minor struggle for you may be a mountain for me because of the mental illness, but I can do what anyone else can do, and I can feel what anyone else can feel.
Keep the promise. Don't just let us live our lives, you know? Don't try to take our life away from us because we got an illness. You know, just help us out, keep us focused, stay in our lives, and help us build new ones.